Go for it, Jeff.
Okay. Thank y'all so much for being with us, coming all the way out here to Talladega. I'm sorry that my location was not more precise, but we were given the coordinates to down here, and obviously our billboard is right here. So, y'all forgive me, but I am Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood. It's REVDRJEFFHOOD. This is Esther Brown, ESTHERBROWN. Imagine me having problems with that. And I also, before we get going good, I also want to say Esther is 92 years old doing this.
And a half, nearly 93 in May. I want the whole thing.
As, hey, Michael, don't send me anything because it's dinging. Okay. 92 and a half. And Esther is the executive director of Project Hope to abolish the death penalty. Project Hope is an organization that's been working with people on death row for 1989. And so, anyway, so thankful for her. Yeah. Again, my name is Jeff Hood. I'm a spiritual advisor to guys on death row around the country. I work with most of the time people who are getting close to execution. The last time we were down here, we had our billboard for Anthony Boyd, which was a little bit up the way. Which I think what happened is they thought that this was the Anthony Boyd billboard again, and that's why we got messed up. And that's why, yeah, we didn't know where we were at. With that said, one of the things that was very important to me when Anthony and I were approaching his last moments is that Anthony wanted to make sure that we stood with everybody who came after. We did not expect it to be Sonny Burton. We didn't expect it to be somebody who's 75 years old, in a wheelchair, fall risk, having to wear a helmet to keep himself from getting brain damage, moving about. Holman, we didn't expect for the state to keep on wanting to do these nitrogen executions, but we're here, and we're going to be here. No matter what, we're going to fight these executions, and certainly we are going to fight these nitrogen executions. We are in a space where, if Sonny is executed, if he is given a date, he will be the 7th nitrogen execution in Alabama. He will be the 8th, no, yes, he will be the 8th in Alabama. He will be the 9th overall. Louisiana has done one. As I think some of you are aware, I was in spiritual advisor to Kenny Smith. So I was in the first nitrogen execution, and I was a spiritual advisor to Anthony Boyd. So I was in the 7th nitrogen execution here in Alabama. I can tell you just briefly, and I won't go too far in it before we get to talking more about Sonny. The state says that this is a form of execution that is peaceful, that the person just goes to sleep. You don't have to listen to me. I mean, I'm this loudmouth activist. Go read Kim Chandler at the Associated Press. Trust the people who y'all sent down there who have viewed these things. I mean, you're talking about a horror show. I mean, we know that Kenny Smith was conscious at the very least for 8 minutes, heaving, spitting, suffocating over and over again for 8 minutes. We know that in Anthony's circumstance, I sat there and watched him struggle to breathe for 19 minutes. This is not obviously we're opposed to all executions, but this is not just your typical execution method. This is, again, a horror show. And I think that anybody who has seen these methods take place, again, you're looking at something that is particularly, with these nitrogen executions, that is particularly horrific. As far as this present moment, Sonny Burton is like a lot of these cases. I mean, you know, you're coming through and you've got a situation where he's involved in something he should have been involved with. Obviously, he's involved with robbing this auto zone. Shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have been a part of it. But at the same time, we don't execute people for robbery in this country. We do not execute people for robbery in this country. And what we are talking about in this circumstance is we are talking about a man who did not kill anyone. We're talking about somebody that went in with the express purpose of robbing this auto zone, who went out thinking that it had taken place and it was over with, when we saw Derrick DeBruce. He stepped out. He was not in AutoZone when Derrick DeBruce was killed. I mean, it's
Killed, did the killing.
he did not do the killing.
I mean, Derrick DeBruce did.
You done got me Doug Battle. You see, you messed me up.
Of course I do.
You messed me up.
But
You told
that's
me the
your
wrong
fault.
name.
Yep.
You made me think I got messed up. I'm sitting here talking all loud, saying the wrong thing.
But anyway,
Doug Battle. So when Derrick DeBruce killed Doug Battle, Sonny's outside. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that the state of Alabama thinks it's okay to kill somebody that ain't killed nobody. Everybody in the state wants to talk about, oh, we got a lot of Christians here. We got a lot of Christians in Alabama, and they always want to talk about eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
makes the whole world blind.
Sonny Burton ain't taking no eyes and he ain't taking no teeth. Again, Alabama Christians want to talk about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And this is a man who did not take any eyes and did not take any teeth. Furthermore, when we talk about clemency in this circumstance, we're not sitting here begging for clemency. We're not sitting here begging Governor Ivey for clemency. What we're asking Governor Ivey for is justice. Justice is not killing somebody who has never killed anybody. That's justice. And so I think that there's a lot of expectation that this is supposed to be a moment where there's a lot of begging and crying and whatnot. I just want to tell Governor Ivey, do the right thing. Just do the right thing. You do not kill someone who has not killed anyone. You don't kill anybody, period, of course, from our perspective, but certainly not someone who has not killed anyone. You know, I think it's important to point out that in 2015, in Dunn versus DeBruce, which would have been Derrick DeBruce's case as it percolated through the court system, the state admits that it is arguably unjust for Sonny to receive the death penalty while Derrick DeBruce got life without parole. This is the state of Alabama admitting this. I mean, we've got Attorney General Marshall coming out and making all these strong statements. You know, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, y'all, please put this on the news, please. I saw that he had made a statement, and I didn't have to read it to know he is saying, kill, 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 kill. He doesn't even take the time to look at these cases. He doesn't take the time to sit with these families. We've got a family in this circumstance. We've got Tori Battle out here, the victim's daughter, saying that she doesn't want the execution. If Attorney General Marshall cared anything about these families, then this execution would be stopped. He doesn't care. He does not care. It is our prayer that Governor Ivey will show more compassion than Attorney General Marshall is capable of. And I believe that she is capable of more compassion because we have seen her grant clemency before. I also wanted to point out that we have a disparity between what's taking place here in Alabama and what's taking place in the rest of the country. We have some of the most conservative governors in the country, some of the most conservative attorney generals in the country who are showing some level of compassion, some modicum of compassion, and in some circumstances, granting clemency. We've seen this happen a couple of times in Oklahoma with Governor Kevin Stitt. We have seen Governor Abbott in Texas grant clemency. And so I don't think that we're asking anything all of that wild of Governor Ivey. I also want to say that while the death penalty is going out of style, we're seeing less death sentences all over the nation. One of the reasons we're seeing less death sentences is because of cases like this. When people say, how in the world could it be fair to kill someone who has never killed anyone? You know, and I think it's also important to point out, and then I'm going to stop jabbering, Esther. I think it's also important to point out what we're asking these corrections officers at Holman to do. We're asking them, again, to violate basic human decency, basic human conscience, and again, kill someone who has not killed anyone. Again, a 75-year-old man in a wheelchair who they're going to have to lift up on the gurney. They're going to have to take his helmet off. They're going to have to, with his rheumatoid arthritis, they're going to have to straighten his bones out to make this happen. So last thing, again, I know we've got a lot of people of faith out there, and I want to speak directly to the people of faith. Would Jesus execute Sonny Burton? I mean, and if you have to pause and take a second to think about that question, then I would argue you don't know a whole lot about Jesus. Esther Brown, y'all.
Thank you very much. I just want to address this to Governor Ivey because she has said, if I bring that up at every execution, all life is sacred. It is. And I understand it is difficult for her to do the right thing, surrounded by the people she's surrounded by. I do understand. People who actually, to me, don't seem very educated because they will talk about closure. And closure has to come from within. It's not anything that anybody can give you. I know that, I've been there. And furthermore, this is now the third time that a family member of the victim has said, don't execute him. It makes it worse for me. It opens up everything again. And yet every darn time they will come to justice was done for the family of the murder victim. They don't give a, I'm not allowed to curse here, but you can imagine what I might say. They don't give a whatever about the families. They don't. So I would say, Governor, you have granted clemency on one occasion. And do the right thing. Do the right thing. There are so many reasons. Are we going to kill somebody who didn't do anything? I mean, robbing a store, I'm not saying it's great to rob a store. I haven't done that lately, but be careful. But we don't kill somebody for that, or I don't know who this we is. I guess it depends where you live. If you live in a state like this, we do, apparently, you know. We went to church on Sundays, and then on Thursday, it's usually a Thursday, we kill somebody. I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. And it should be an easy one to grant clemency to. Because the guy didn't do it, I'm sorry, he was out of the school. And Derrick DeBruce was re-sentenced and given life. And even then the state said, well, can we leave the guy on death row? Apparently we could. At this point, as you know, he's in a chair, he's been in the clinic for the last 2 weeks. He is that unwell. He's in and out mentally too. So
yeah, I think that's important to point out too, is that anybody that has had communication with him is very aware that his mental state is not the greatest. I mean, my interaction, I've had minimal interaction with him, but my interaction with him has been, you ask him a question and he answers to the wrong question. He doesn't answer the question that you ask him. He answers to a question that you didn't ask him. I think that, and I mean, I think that also speaks to the fact that life without parole is no easy.
It's the other death sentence.
Life without parole is no easy path in the state of Alabama. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watched the Alabama Solution, but I'm not trying to give an advertisement for HBO. Maybe they should pay me for giving an ad. But we know that the prison system is about as horrible as it gets. One of the most horrible in the entire nation. And so I think it's important to state that we're not asking for Sonny Burton to be set free, open the doors. What we're asking for is life without parole, for him to be granted clemency, and for him to live out what few days he might have left in the worst prison system in the country. It's that blatant and that apparent. So, I think that's it for us. Y'all have any questions? Any thoughts?
Can you speak about the billboard? What are the tactics
Sure.
in bringing more attention?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to state that we've got, there were a lot of options as to where we could have put this thing. And it's important for us that the people where these cases come from understand the consequences of the death penalty. I think probably the most horrible thing about our system is that there's such a gap between a judge that gives a sentence of death, a jury that votes for a sentence of death, and when the thing actually takes place. I mean, this thing happened in 1991.
And 6 jurors would now have voted differently. That's all.
6 jurors now say they would have.
And
Right.
one wrote an article, you would have seen it, the same as the author of the murder victim.
For anybody who's
We
keeping
don't care.
score,
No.
I would have been 8 years old in 1991. And the reality is, and this is not even, this is a piece of the conversation, but not even the main conversation. How many of y'all, well, first of all, I bet y'all wasn't born in 1991, but how many people after this amount of time are different people? It's crazy to think that we're putting somebody on death row for 35 years and assuming that they haven't grown in that period. But backing up to your question, I almost sort of see our work as, now there's some people that would have a total breakdown to hear me say this, but I almost see some of my work as evangelism, in that I feel like I want people, especially people of faith, to have to deal with the fact that you were a part of this. And not just here in the local community, but if this thing happens, when you're in the chamber and the warrant is read, it is read the people of the state of Alabama, the state of Alabama. And so everybody who participates in this is a part of it. I mean, we all become murderers when one of these executions happen. And the question is, who do we want to be? I say this over and over again.
And the other thing I might just
Go
say,
ahead.
I've been around the death penalty for over 40 years, and I never met a rich one.
That's true.
Money talks, and you know what walks.
That's true.
If you don't get decent representation, and you don't, you know, was probably whoever he had at the beginning was paid $1,000. You can't do very much for that. They don't do an investigation. They don't, you know.
That's true.
People, and this is our fault. We allow people to drop through the cracks, and then we punish them. That's what we do. If you look at their childhoods, you know, where they come from and so on, and the money, those are the people you will find on death row every time. I never met a rich one, and I've met some famous one. I knew Ted Bundy. He was not okay. He had a psych problem, but they didn't have to murder him.
That was
And
a boy.
murder is
No.
what it is. I do. What?
I'm just playing.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say too that you know, obviously in Sonny's circumstance, you have a robbery that the state has tried to turn into a murder. This is not a murder. Sonny Burton did not murder anybody. I mean, I can't say that enough. This is not a murder. This is a death penalty for a robbery. And so I think too that that's important to let people know. I'll also say that if those judges, if those jurors who put down this sentence in the first place in the early 90s, if they were the people that had to actually kill Sonny and carry this thing out, we would have no death penalty. The only reason we can have a death penalty is because we're so far removed from actually carrying out the sentence. I mean, how many people here want to go down to Atmore and kill Sonny Burton? I mean, I realize there's some weird people in Alabama, but I can't imagine anybody jumping for joy at the thought. So why are we expecting these corrections officers, these low-level, low-paid corrections officers, to have to do this for us? Again, I think that for us, it's important to put up these billboards because it brings the death penalty close. With that said, I also think that we want people to know that this case is particularly egregious. This is a particularly bizarre situation. And until we recognize that there are death sentences given out for bizarre situations. One second. Yay, he rolling. That's how fast I want him to go if I'm having a heart attack. I want people to know that these egregious situations are happening. I don't want people to just be able to drive by and not think about it. And the reality is if we get 4 or 5 people that look at this, that have to actually think about their role when it comes to executions, that's worth every penny. Esther said, yeah. Allie, is there anybody on the live stream that has any questions?
Nobody that has questions yet, but we do have somebody that was asking for a photo of the billboard. If you could send that to us afterwards so I can get it to him.
Allie, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yes,
Introduce introduce yourself so they can hear you. I don't know if they can film you, but they can hear you.
Yep. Good morning. My name is Allie Sullivan. I serve as the board chair of the Execution Intervention Project. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of things, and I know Jeff has touched on this already, but I mean, this case is not unique in the fact that prior to anything that got Sonny into death row, onto death row, his childhood was marked by just a horrific level of abuse. And this is a troubling pattern that we see over and over and over again. And I think that in addition to the fact that Sonny was not culpable to the degree that would warrant a death sentence, we don't believe in executions for any case, but the fact that he didn't kill anybody, that is reason enough for him to not get the death penalty. But if you add on top the mitigation of his childhood, I mean, there is no real reason that the death penalty needs to stand in this case. And I also wanted to talk about, in the discussion about the disproportionality of this sentence, and I think Esther touched on it too, there are serial killers that don't get the death penalty. In fact, most of the serial killers that we would consider are some of the worst don't actually end up getting the death penalty. A couple years ago, I stood in a medium security federal prison, and across the room with no shackles, no like guards, nothing, there was a man who had killed over 120 people, and he didn't get the death penalty. He's living it fairly easy in a medium security federal prison. Meanwhile, people like Sonny, who are at the end of their lives, who are disabled and living with a tremendous amount of pain, they're going to be executed. And I mean, I also deal with chronic pain, chronic illness, autoimmune issues. Granted, I'm a lot younger than Sonny, but I can understand a little bit about what that is like for him, and just it just breaks my heart knowing that he is in just these horrific conditions in the state that he is in. Um, Before I got into this movement, I was actually a caregiver right out of high school, and I primarily cared for people that were on hospice and or had really significant mobility issues. And I cared for many dozens of people through the ends of their lives. And um, since then, I mean, I always think about the death penalty because we're losing a lot of people to the death penalty, and yeah, it's different than it was when I was losing people left and right just because they were passing away on hospice. But we were doing everything we could to make their last little bit of time as comfortable as possible, um, as they were at the end of their lives. And so to know that Sonny, who is in a similar condition as a lot of the people that I used to care for, and that he is not getting anywhere near the degree of care and help that he deserves, that really does break my heart. And I really do hope that Governor Ivey grants mercy to Sonny. There is no legitimate reason that we need to execute him. And it just, this man is already at the end of his life. He's already suffered enough. Like, just grant him mercy. So that's it.
Thank you, Allie. I think that one thing I wanted to say, and then we can wrap it up. It's important to point out that, like, who's taking care of Sonny right now. So something that most people don't know is that when one of these guys gets to be infirm or is not doing well, other death row inmates are their caregivers. It's not like the state is paying for nurses or anybody else to take care of him. Again, other death row inmates take care of him and take care of each other for that matter. Esther, did you have anything else you want to say?
No, I just thank everybody, and this is important. That's all I can say.
Yes.
And he among you is without sin should cast the first stone.
Buddha said that. No, I'm just playing.
Yep.
All right. Allie, we got anything else?
We do know how it said crucify him, crucify him. And, if you're into Bible studies, you know where that was. Well,
So we just have one person that was asking about B-roll of the billboard.
They want B-roll of the billboard.
Yes, I did suggest that they could take a recording from this Zoom, but we don't have somebody professional.
Yeah, we can. I'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And I will be sending out a link to this recording to everybody who's registered and with the media.
To everybody. All right, we good?
We're good.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time. No, it ain't the same time, same place, but a little bit different
earlier.
time. But yeah, and another link. So forget anything I said. Thank you.